Welcome to episode 7 of the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. Joined by Director of Athletic Communications Larry Dielman and our student assistant Connor Kikowski. This is Sports Information Director Andy Alvarez, bringing you information from this past week's action and previewing the week ahead in IU Athletics. It's been a busy week for IU Athletics. We are reaching the end of the regular season on Wednesday for field hockey and men's and women's soccer. Women's volleyball will continue their regular season play on Wednesday. And cross country has the Atlantic East Conference Championships this weekend. Men's and women's swimming got their start this past weekend, and they'll have action again this week. And our women's basketball team will have their first preseason scrimmage this week as well. So the winter seasons are almost right upon us, and we're going to be moving into possibly a postseason play this weekend for at least one of our teams and possibly more of our teams. Let's get started. We'll get started with our first team to clinch a playoff berth was the field hockey team. They went 1-1 this past week. Unfortunately, they had a tough game against Marywood last Wednesday. Marywood's the defending champions, top team in the division right now, and they lost 3-0. But the game I think was a lot closer than what the score really showed. And then Saturday, I mean, a great game for our women's field hockey team. They pretty much dominated play, out shooting, Gwynedd like 23-5, I believe, in that game. They earned a 3-2 come from behind victory in overtime at Gwynedd. You had Alexis Andrada scoring her 11th goal of the season. Kind of a little spin move on that goal, kind of a little spinorama. So she achieved her career high. You got a goal from Evelyn Bivens after they fell behind 2-1. It's high up before halftime, and then the game made its way to overtime. And you had a great goal there by Gigi Fox, her first collegiate goal. Set up by Alexis Andrada. So that locked the playoff spot for the field hockey team as they sit 2-1 in conference play, tied for second/third place with Newman. Those two teams will play a playoff game this weekend, a semifinal. Wednesday's game between the two teams will determine who's going to host that game. So that was a really good, victory for our Money Max. I know talking with Coach a little bit, she was a little bit concerned about their defensive play in that game, but offense really came alive. What do you guys think on that?
Going back to the Marywood game, it was a lot closer than the score tells. I think everyone can agree with that. I mean, Marywood just got lucky with those three goals, but like we had so many corners in that game, and Bivens was good that she scored on Saturday because she had those three shots back to back and just couldn't get a goal in the cage. But a good 3-2 win definitely has some momentum to get a big win like that and get a close game too. They've dealing with a lot of tough teams this year, so a good close win and luck really can help bring up these confidence levels. Gigi Fox scoring her first collegiate goal, big to get them going, and that can definitely be help as we get into the postseason now.
Yeah, a lot of great play overall, especially on Saturday with Gwynedd Schrack going the entire 64 minutes, 64 because OT, it was pretty much just sudden death at that point. It's not like they go the whole period or anything. But yeah, some great offense. 23-6 in terms of shots is pretty impressive, especially for a conference opponent. Got a lot of corners and seeing Newman twice this week, depending on the scenario on Wednesday, is going to be a sight to see, and it should be a good one on Saturday because you're fresh. You're seeing them for the second time in a week. A lot of things going good for field hockey.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's going to be a huge game here on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. If you don't have anything going on, try to get out there and support our Money Max. Give a big crowd because Newman always brings a crowd no matter where they play. So it's always going to be intense, and our team could really use the support. And I think it would be great to have a home playoff game here at Draper Wall Stadium on Saturday. So hopefully they could get that done. I mean, it was very good to see them fight back too. You get behind. A lot of times teams when they get behind, they don't have that fight in them, but they came back right away, got a goal, got it even, continued to control play, and then Alexis Andrade knocks that ball through to Gigi Fox, and Gigi did what she needed to do and just buried it into the cage. And it was good to see the celebration on the field and the videos and the highlights. And it's a good all around performance for the field hockey team, and looking forward to seeing them as they move into postseason play.
Switching over to women's volleyball. Women's volleyball is in a great spot at the moment for playoffs, despite the fact that they still have a couple more games to get to. Unlike field hockey and both of our soccer teams, volleyball still has a little bit ways to go. The women's volleyball team fell to Marywood 3-1 on Saturday to I should say, a very good Marywood team. They are, I think, 21-3 at this moment. The Mighty Macs won the first set. I was there for that game while Andy and Connor were outside with soccer. Volleyball, that first set, they blew Marywood out of the water. Don't let the score fool you. It was a pretty good beating in the first set. Unfortunately, the last three sets did not go the Mighty Macs way, but it was very encouraging to see Immaculata fight against a very good team. And then Angelica Santini Buehlerin, 30 assists. It's the seventh time this season she's had at least 30 or more in a match. And this is only her first year, so very impressive from the first year setter. Mia Esposito, 15 kills, 4 total blocks. Adriana Ventura, 13 digs. And it's a big week ahead for volleyball. They have 3 matches in 4 days later this week. On Wednesday, they will be hosting Centenary for senior night. The three Mighty Max seniors, Mia Esposito, Diana Rivera, and Emma Hodgson, will be honored prior to the match. They will go to Cairn on Thursday for a non-conference match, and then on Saturday, a big one at 1 o'clock as the Marymount Saints are in town. That'll be a big AEC match. Guys, they're pretty much in a good spot for playoffs. They're currently in a four-way tie for second in the conference behind Marywood. What do you think overall?
I think it's you're seeing a huge improvement, and this team's really moved forward far this year. And on Coach Kirchner's first season with the team, I mean that's night and day difference between last year. These matches, if they got to a fourth set, it was rare in some of these conference matches. So it's good to see them in there fighting. They're in the games. They have opportunities to make things happen, and you see this team moving forward in a real good spot as as Coach Mary Kirchner gets to continue her recruiting process, try to bring in new players, and to see these players developing, to see that your first years making a great contribution in their first year. I mean, Angelica Santini Buehlerin should be definitely in the Rookie of the Year conversation and for an all-conference spot as well. And seeing your seniors like Mia Esposito have their best season of her career this season is really encouraging for them as they move into the heart of conference play now. I mean, they're really a few weeks behind the other teams in terms of conference play. So now they're entering the heart of their conference schedule. They have the second half of this schedule coming down the stretch now. And it's gonna be fun to see how they handle this situation and how they battle the Marymounts and Newmans, the teams that have been in the finals the last couple of years. And then you have Centenary is always a good squad, and Gwynedd Mercy. These are matches really to look forward to and hope with their home fans come out and really support the team and give them that big crowd and that home court advantage.
I mean, they've been hanging with and it shows that tough schedule has definitely helped them in this conference, but the Washington Colleges and the Alvernias. I mean, yeah, there's nothing but a lot of success from it. Even Marywood 3-1, they still got a big first set. Remember up in the press us, we were looking, oh wow, they took the first set. And they got momentum going into the second one. And of course, it didn't work out, but definitely improvement and definitely encouragement for the volleyball team. All right, moving on to men's swimming. The swimming teams opened up their 2025-26 campaigns. A good showing, a split in the first try meet against Elizabethtown and Goucher for the victory in their opener. They began the season on the road on Friday. They defeated Goucher 110-81, but fell to the host Elizabethtown 183-57. Elizabethtown's a good team. They were able to rebound the next day with a narrow 77-68 win over Moravian right here in Alumni Hall's pool to move to 2-1 on the season. Mike DeMattei, who will be our guest this week, had 4 total wins for 200 freestyle, 200 in the IM, and 400 in the relay against Moravian. So DeMattei led the Max in both meets, sweeping all the events and anchoring a win in relay emerged as the team's early season standout.
Yeah, it was a good performance for the men's team and for Mike DeMattei, he was named to the weekly honor roll and was our Mighty Mac of the week this week for his performances. So that was a great showing for him. Women's swimming, they began their season also 2-1. They did the same, obviously, try meet on Friday at Elizabethtown. While they were able to beat Goucher 165-50, they fell to Elizabethtown 99-148. And then their dual meet, they came back here to Alumni Hall Pool and were able to defeat Moravian 120-66. You had some really good performances by swimmers. They would expect to have good ones, but Ashley Baichan, multiple wins, including she won the 50 free, 100 backstroke, 50 butterfly. Consistently strong in the relays that she participated in. She was named to the weekly honor roll with the Atlantic East Conference as well. You had Kira Wiley. She had the wins in the 1,000 yard freestyle, 100-yard butterfly, and was on the podium in the 500 freestyle and the 100 backstroke. Delaney McPeak, top finishes in the 200-yard individual medley, 100-yard breaststroke, 200-yard individual medley, and also was a part of the relay teams as well. And then Hannah Barber was on the podium in the 50-yard and 100-yard freestyle and was strong in the relay. And then you also had Rebecca Ambrose with podium finishes in the 500 and 100-yard freestyles, was also on the relay team. So, I mean, they're back in action. Both swim teams will be back in action this Saturday, November 1st. They're hosting a tri-meet, Atlantic East tri-meets, their first Atlantic East meets against Marymount and Marywood here on Saturday at the Alumni Hall pool. Want to be one of two events going on inside Alumni Hall that day. We'll have the volleyball match and the swim match. So if fans are available to come out and support our teams, I think that would be see them get that type of support.
Yeah, overall great from the swimming teams, both teams starting 2-1 as they head into a big conference meet this coming weekend. On Saturday, November 1st, they will be hosting Marymount and Marywood for their first conference meets of the year. That'll be a tri-meet. But yeah, a lot of great results. The men, Mike DeMattei, obviously shining for the Mighty Macs, and then the women had plenty of podium winners and great results in both individual and relays. Not much in the negatives, I guess. A lot of positives for them, and hopefully we can get at least one, if not two wins on Saturday with these conference meets. Transitioning to women's soccer, the Mighty Macs went 1-1 this week. They defeated Newman on Wednesday at home, 1-0. Lily McGee scored the game winner, and it was assisted by Mia Perrone. Emily Guthier made 4 saves in net, but unfortunately the Mighty Macs lost 1-0 at Gwynn and Mercy on Saturday. A tough loss. The Griffins scored a game-winning goal deep into the second half on a rebounder. Emily made a save, and the offensive player was just in the right position to hit the ball into the net where Emily was, obviously she can't teleport. So it was just at a bad angle, unfortunately, but still she made 5 saves overall. But Emily did win Defensive Player of the Week for the Atlantic East Conference. The women's soccer team up next will be a big one for their regular season finale on Wednesday, October 29th. Marywood will be here at Draper Walsh Stadium for a 4 o'clock start. And right now, women's soccer needs a little bit of help to get into the Atlantic East playoffs. They either need a win or draw with Marywood, or for Gwynn and Mercy to lose or tie Centenary to qualify for the Atlantic East playoffs. At Gwynn and Mercy, Gabby Palladino leading the way, 4 shot attempts. The Mighty Macs had 6 shots on goal in 15 attempts. So did the Griffins, actually. Pretty evenly contested game across the board. The Mighty Macs had more corner kicks. Saves were pretty even. Fouls were pretty even. Overall, a good game, just did not go Immaculata's way. Andy, women's soccer needing a little help, but not completely out of it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult task for them, but once again, you're dealing with a team that's very mostly young players. So you have a lot of young players that are playing key roles with this team right now. And unfortunately, a few things haven't gone their way in conference play. Tough result up at Pratt. Come back and have a really strong performance last Wednesday against Newman, playing one of the better teams in the conference. The score was 1-0 on the scoreboard. It could have easily been 2 or 3 goals. They could have had that game too. And then unfortunately, Saturday you just get a tough result on the road where you just couldn't either hold the 0 or find a way to push one into the net and would have been able to wrap up that spot. Then now you're gonna have to earn it. You're gonna have to go out there and battle. And these are great things for a young team to have to encounter this at the beginnings of their career. I was talking with Coach Seamus upstairs about Saturday, and He's just like, I couldn't have asked anything more of my girls than they gave me in that game, and they gave everything they had. It just didn't work out for them. But it's a real great opportunity here on Wednesday. If you don't like playing these type of games, I know I always as an athlete enjoyed competing in these type of games. So it's a challenge, and I think they're going to be ready to try to meet the challenge and going to give Marywood a big battle Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Once again, if you have time, you're available, come out and support our uh, our women's soccer team and try to help them have some home field advantage for a very big game for them.
On Wednesday, so all the support would definitely be good out there at the stadium. And we also have volleyball inside too for senior night. But the road games have been difficult for the women's soccer team this year. Obviously, a tough game in Prayer and a tough game on Saturday. But they're not out of it yet, and they just gotta go and leave it all at that out on the field on Wednesday against Marywood, who's gonna be a tough team, but get that last spot in the playoffs. So switching gears to men's soccer now, who unfortunately fell into last week. They had a tough one at Newman. Newman's obviously a couple back-to-back Atlantic East Conference champions. They lost to them 4-1. Crawl scored an early goal, but Newman had 3 goals in 3 minutes after that, and that eventually was the deciding factor in this one. And then a really tough game on Saturday out outside at Draper Wall Stadium when they lost to Gwen Mercy 3-1. Jonathan Olale scored late in the first half to put us up 1-0 at the half, but unfortunately, Gwen had 3 goals in the second half, and that was all that it took. So, like women's soccer, men's soccer is going to need some help too. They need to win at Marywood on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and they need Gwinnett to tie or lose versus Centenary. But obviously, this is also a young team, men's soccer. You have a couple transfers, a lot of freshmen. So what do you guys think? Obviously, another tough task for them, but it's not over till it's over.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's not over till it's over. Men's soccer has shown some promise this season. Like first halves have usually been pretty solid. Luca Greppolini in goal has been a man on a mission. But, this is where learning curves come in and rookie mistakes happen or just overall learning curves, I think come into play. And when you're facing, like Connor, like you said, with Newman being back-to-back conference champions, you're not necessarily always going to dominate as you might in other games. I mean, you're going to sometimes struggle, but this is all part of the process. Men's soccer right now, they're still in the playoff hunt. It's not completely over. They just need some help, and right now the focus is getting a win on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think you guys had hit the nails right on the head with that, with some of those points. And Saturday, they played a really strong first half. They really had the opportunities to control play. Great shot there by Jonathan Olale, putting the left foot into the corner of the net. Everything was looking up. I mean, everything was really promising. And then early on in the half, a kind of a strange play happened and ended up in the back of the. Got caught out of position. Luca got caught out of position, and the goal got in, and then right away, bam, another one went in, and then that kid put that rocket into the top corner of the net to really seal that game. But once again, these are the situations that as an athlete, you have to be ready to come fight. And that's what they're going to have to do. They can't even worry about what's going on elsewhere. They got to take care of their match up there at Marywood on that field. And I know a lot of our players have had to play, our seniors and upperclassmen have had to play a couple games in that field up there and play Marywood a number of times. And I know they would like nothing more than to go up there and try to earn, a big win up there. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what they bring. But I mean, I know they're going to fight. I know Luca's going to fight, and I know there's no quit in our coaching staff either. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how things go on Wednesday as we're tracking things here. Hopefully, maybe they could bring something back, an opportunity to go to a playoff game on Saturday. But moving along to cross country, and we'll be talking with our very own Connor Kikowski. They head up to Milton, New York, to the Hudson Valley Sports Dome, the kind of park complex around there for the Atlantic East Conference Championships. The men's team you guys finished with third last year, and the women's were runners up in the conference last year. So obviously, Connor, this is your last trip up there, and I know you're going to be ready to run a great race in for these championships. And I know on the women's side, I know Aubrey's going to want a challenge to try to get the individual title she won a couple years ago back. She won her first year here, and she finished second last year. And I know their team's going to want them to try to make a run at that championship. So, what do you guys? What's your thoughts going into that event this weekend?
I mean, the thoughts are just stay what's been going on. Just treat it as just any other race. We had a lot of good results from the border battle, so I think we just want to keep the momentum going. I mean, a lot of teams just keep a lot of not teams, but more of us just keep hitting the PRs after PRs and just improving every race we get. So we're just gonna leave it all out there. Come Saturday up in New York. Not looking forward to that ride. It's gonna be a long 3 hour bus ride on Friday and overnight trip, but it'll be fun. Hopefully we see some good results. And yeah, so last year the men's team finished third by a point. Marymount beat us by 1 point. We were also really short-staffed that race. We had a couple people out sick. We got the sick bug that year. But we're up for the challenge. Marywood's always good and running. They've been good since my freshman year, but we're ready to see what happens.
There was some crazy tiebreaker situations last year at that. Originally, the women's team didn't have second place, but then afterwards, the tiebreakers were looked at and they were properly applied. They did get second place. You guys were in second place. Then they properly applied the tiebreakers, and you guys got moved to third place last year. And you had been the runners up the 2 previous years. So obviously, just hope for some good results.
Yeah, I think, like you guys said, the border battle, there were definitely some good results. Obviously, Aubrey has dominated this season. I would know because I've been making these win graphics for her. And the men's team definitely has had their shining stars as well. And hopefully we can bring back some good results on Saturday and not only with AEC championships, but prepare for regionals on the 15th back at Logan Township. So cross country is coming to an end, but still a lot of great running left to be had.
Yeah, I have 2 races left in my cross-country career, so it's pretty surreal and it hasn't really hit me yet, but it will over these next couple of weeks. But yeah, looking forward to a good weekend this week.
Fortunately for you, you won't be completely done yet because you'll move into winter track and then spring track. So we'll have Connor talking about some of his team's exploits going forward too. And then bring up another point before we bring in our guest, women's basketball, the defending Atlantic East Conference champions. The women's basketball team will kind of get their preseason moving along a little quicker this week on Tuesday. They will be at Eastern for a scrimmage. It will be a closed scrimmage, so no fans will be there, but it'll be the first time on the court in a game situation as a team. So it's a good way to get a start with a lot of young new players. And Saturday I came in to help with some setup stuff for volleyball before I went out to the stadium, and it was pretty nice to see some of the alumni at the team practice on Saturday morning. You had Abby Boyer, Tessa Liberato-Scholey, Morgan Falcone, Alyssa Long. We're all here with the team that day, so it was kind of nice to see some alumni and some members of last year's championship team. I mean, Morgan wasn't on that team; she was there the year before, but she was a big part of this program and part of the first championship. So it was good to see the alumni coming out, supporting, helping out the team as they prepare for the new season. So we'll be getting next couple of weeks. You'll be having our basketball preview worked in here. We'll be talking with possibly with our coaches, maybe Britt Whalen and Kyle Stramara about the upcoming basketball season. So that's right around the corner. Women's basketball will kick off on November 8th, so that's in the future. And now I think would be a good time for us to bring in our guest, Mike DeMattei of the men's swimming team. Had a great weekend. He's also a member of our men's tennis team. So Mike will join us and we'll talk about swimming and we'll talk a little bit about some tennis too. And Mike's experience here. He was one of the kids that came over from Cabrini when they closed. So talk about it, his transition to Immaculata last year with the two sports, being a two-sport athlete, and how things are going with the teams here. So we'll be back with Mike after this break on the Tuesday Talk IU Athletic Podcast. Welcome back to the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics Podcast. We are joined by Mike DeMattei of the men's swimming team. He's also a member of our men's tennis team. Welcome, Mike.
This is so cool. Thank you guys so much for having me.
We're glad to have you here.
So, Mike, what do you enjoy most about being on the swimming team, and what do you enjoy most about being on the tennis team? Being a dual sport athlete, obviously, you're kind of all year round. Tennis just finished their fall schedule, and then they'll do their spring. Swimming is in the winter. So, what do you enjoy about being on each team?
Yeah, I really just love the busyness of it, to be honest. But I think the sports themselves complement each other quite well. Swimming is really, they're both not team sports. Swimming, you kind of have to focus on your own times, and same with tennis. So, swim is nice because it's really just you in the lane. There's nothing that can interfere with that. So you're just a product of the work that you put in. Whereas tennis, you do have to worry about, your opponent, where the ball is going to drop, stuff like that. So I think they complement each other as both being tactical sports, but they also have differences as well.
You started at Cabrini, obviously, when you first finished high school, and then, obviously their situation where they closed. Why did you choose Immaculata, and what do you enjoy most about being here at Immaculata?
I chose Immaculata mainly because of Coach Josh Pace. He originally kind of recruited me to Cabrini. I didn't know if I was going to swim at all in the first place, and Cabrini University was a much bigger, more established team. So getting the chance to be a leader now here at IU is really cool because it's more of a build up for the swim program. And I'm learning that leadership doesn't always have to be vocal because I'm really leading by example this year and just kind of showing up early every day, making sure to be thorough at practice, even if I feel lazy that day.
Is there specific stuff about the campus here that you enjoy, or like parts of being the school outside of swimming and tennis?
I like how it's small. It's similar to Cabrini in that way. Classes wasn't that much of a transition, although Cabrini was really its own thing. That year was quite unique. It was tough to build relationships, but it had its benefits. The swim team had a ton of money to spend on its last year. But when I came to Immaculata, I really found the group of people, and now I'm kind of using that to my advantage.
What's your swimming and tennis background? As we just said, you came from Cabrini and now you're here at Immaculata. But like what's your background? Like how long have you been playing these sports? Did you do them all through like let's say middle school and high school, etc.?
Swimming, I started in eighth grade, pretty much when I couldn't do baseball anymore, resorted to swimming. I didn't do much club swimming. I really just started in high school and came from, being that new person on the team. And by my senior year, I started doing the 200 IM, which was like the big event because the high school team kind of got worse as we went on. So that gave me a chance to do uh, that kind of event. And then my senior year of high school, I tried tennis just in my last year because I had some friends doing it and it was so fun. And then Cabrini didn't have a tennis team, but luckily, the swim team that year, ran by Coach Cindy Eichler, was amazing. She had such a great year to make it our last one, and then that kind of led me here.
You mentioned earlier, like you swim like 200 IM. What's that like? You do all the four different strokes in that event, isn't that when you do the IM event?
That's correct. Yeah, it's my favorite event, the IM, because you get to do all the strokes. I mean, I don't even at practice. It's always everyone thinks it's so hard, which it is. It's very hard, but you at least get to change it up. Freestyle, you just forget where you are during practice and kind of get lost. I feel like so the IM has always been most rewarding to me, and always is my favorite one to watch as I was growing in the sport.
Yeah, you're also Marple Newtown was your high school.
Marple Newtown, yeah.
Yeah, my we talked about this before. I think my cousin was your high school principal, so that's
Oh, okay.
John Beltrante's my
Oh,
cousin. So that's
gotcha.
kind of a close connection. What does it feel like when you got to start a race when you're on that block waiting for the gun or the horn to
Mhm.
go off to start the race? What's that like?
It is intense. It's a feeling like no other. I mean, now I've learned to enjoy it because I've realized that it's just a product of the work that you put in, and you can trust what you've done in swimming. I'd like to note that tennis is much different. I kind of noticed that in my last match. I kind of fell apart mentally because it's really different. You kind of have to be in that mental zone for so long in tennis. I'm used to preparing for that short burst in swimming. So it really is a change. They're both extremely hard in their own ways, which is cool. But it's definitely a rush in swimming.
Yeah, I noticed like in some of your tennis matches, obviously you could go two sets, or you could go to you have to go to either the 10-point tiebreak or you play
Hmm.
the full third set. That could be difficult trying to when you get down to those 10 points to decide a match possibly. Is that a real challenge to do that?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I find myself forgetting the score just because I still feel new to it. There's a lot of stuff I'm still working on mentally with tennis because I play so well during practice. The coaches always mention that, but we're having so much trouble translating into matches. So it's nice that I have something to work on as much as I can in the off season.
Coach Pace pointed out when we asked him to give us some quotes for our preseason preview, he pointed you out in particular when asked about leaders on the team. He said, quote, Mike has done a tremendous job setting the tone and keeping the group focused. So what are your overall thoughts on that, with such high praise from your coach? And obviously the men's team a little bit smaller than the women's, and pointing you out in particular.
Yeah, I love that. Like I said, I'm learning that leadership is not always have to be vocal. I don't come off as the most loud on the team, but my actions really take over in that way. Because like my dad has said to me this year, when you're a leader, you're always on stage because you're always setting an example for the rest of the team, no matter what you're doing. If you're resting, if you're doing this, eating a snack, everyone's watching you. And although I lost just about all of the men from last year's team, two transferred, one graduated, the men and women's team really help each other out because we practice together. Having sophomores like Ashley and Delaney on the girls' side, who I had a great season with last year, is super helpful because they're always showing so much dedication to the sport every day. And then the new guys that came in, I'm making progress with them because my goal is to really motivate everyone because I have the chance to lead now.
What are your plans for after Immaculata? Like once you finish your degree here, what are your plans after that?
Not entirely sure to be honest, but I'm majoring in accounting. I found that major at Cabrini. I had a really good professor, and I did this like volunteer tax program with her. So I declared accounting as a major, and I'm kind of focusing in tax. So I might start out in public accounting as of now. I have public accounting internships coming up. I'm gonna see how they go, but I could see myself going into tax as of now. But I don't see how I could let go of swimming anytime soon either. So.
Yeah, you guys have a big weekend coming up, conference tri meet with Mary Mountain, Mary Wood. How are you guys feeling about that? Getting into a conference meet against two of the schools that you're going to be battling with in the championships when you get down to St. Mary's in February.
Yes, excited for that. It's going to be a good one. The thing is, it's a wildly different meet. We only get to do it like twice in a year because it's longer distance events. So instead of me doing the 100 backstroke and 200 IM like I did this past weekend, I'll be doing the 200 backstroke and 400 IM. So the training is just ramped up a lot this week to prepare for that. But I really just trust Coach Pace. He's always, able to keep the group laughing with subtle jokes, but he has a really pragmatic way of keeping it real too and laying things out clearly. He's definitely a man of few words. He's always keeping it ambiguous, but in a good way, because when he does make a statement, it always packs a punch.
We thank you for joining us today, Mike. That was great talking with you, and we wish you say congratulations on being named to the weekly honor roll for the Atlantic East Conference this week and being our Mighty Mac of the week. And we wish you guys good luck this coming weekend.
Thank you so much. My best to you as well.
And we'll be back on the Tuesday Talk podcast after this quick break. Welcome back to the Tuesday Talk IU Athletic Podcast. That was a great interview there with Mike. Great insights about his time with the here at Immaculata and with the swimming team and the tennis team. That will wrap it up for this week. Hopefully, we'll have some big stories to discuss next week, and hope you will join us next week on episode 8 of the Tuesday Talk IU Athletic Podcast. Romax.